Yeah, I have a slight confession to make. I know that most of my audience are Apple users. That's the whole point of this channel. But there are some that currently use Android, and they're having a pretty good experience. In this video, we're gonna find out if the grass is greener on the Android side of the picture world. See what I did there? Yeah, well, these are the jokes, people. I write them myself. Moving on. If you found this video by it being suggested, I do all things related to Apple, with no bull. The good, the bad, and, well, the ugly. If this sounds like your style, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, so when I post a video, you won't miss it. Thank you. The competition to have the best camera on a smartphone has been going on for, gosh, over 10 years now. Now, Apple and Samsung have always seemed to be the ones that are at the top for some reason. But Google decided a few years ago, this is our software. Let's go ahead and make some hardware too. So here we are, many years later, with Google now being one of the leaders of camera quality. So you may not know that I am part of Team Pixel. And for the past few years, I've been lucky enough to get my hands on some of their new devices. Now, before I got rid of my 14 Pro, I did have, I think it was like a day or so to compare the Pixel 7 Pro and the 14 Pro, thus creating
the Pro versus Pro saga.
Like I said, these are the jokes, guys. So get your eyes and ears ready as I show you some of the pictures and video that I took. Now, in this first grouping of photos, A definitely looks more saturated and sharper. And of course, B is a little bit more natural, but slightly softer. Now, in the side-by-side comparison, you can see that A definitely with more saturation and more contrast, but you know, hey, both look great, and it really does sometimes come down to preference. Now, I didn't have a ton of time, but I wish I had more to be able to see how these cameras handled a day with little to no sun in areas that weren't as bright. Now, you can see in this grouping with less direct sunlight, A still keeps the saturation up, and again is still sharp, and the shaded areas have definitely more contrast. Now in B, yeah, the picture is brighter, less saturation, and the shaded parts really aren't as dark, so you can kind of see what's going on. Again, both take absolutely awesome shots. My preference is always to be a little bit more natural like B. So, do you have a preference yet? Is it A or is it B? Go ahead and leave your comments down below. Now, this is my favorite part to test on phones, portrait mode. Now, the first picture is me just getting close to something to see how the phones deal with picking up a spot to focus on. Both did a great job, and to my surprise, A, which is in the other pictures more saturated and more contrast, is the opposite. Now, I had to make sure I didn't mix up the photos, and with the actual portrait function in use, it was more of the same thing. A seemed to dial back that saturation and contrast. It looks a lot more like B in these shots. And that's not a bad thing. I was pleasantly surprised. Great work on both of the phones here. Now, for the video portion. First up is the front-facing cameras. Got everything as high as quality as I can. I'm doing the iPhone in 30p because that's what the Pixel 7 runs in. So I just wanted to do, you know, like for like and just give the same look and feel. Got the sun behind me. Walking into some shade here. Got a lot going on in the background of these. Shade, sun, myself in both of those. Now, if I were to turn around and then get in a little bit of the sunlight, let me walk up here to get in it. How's the microphone sound? How is the stabilization on the front-facing cameras? There's the sun right there. Just kind of back up and stand in the middle of that. See what you think. Spin around and keep walking. And that is the front-facing cameras. Now I'm seriously confused. A was way more dialed back on the warmth and even pulled some of the red out of my jacket. B was way closer to the actual color. The background in A was more bokeh out compared to B, And that saturation is definitely an easy fix in post. Have you figured it out yet? Go ahead and leave your guess below before the rear camera footage, because foreshadowing. Time for the rear facing cameras, the big boys. I do have the action mode on for the iPhone 14 Pro. Now keep in mind that only shoots at 2.5K at 30 frames a second. So does the video quality look any different? Is it better to have the stabilization and not 4K? I mean, listen, 2.8K, I think, or 2.5, 2.8? I don't remember. But it looks pretty darn good. Now, if I were to start running and just kind of hold this out in front of me, I'm wobbling to the left and to the right, and jump up and down, run some more, run fast, not holding it, not worrying about it. How does that look? Good thing you don't have to watch me running. That's always a good thing. Let's go ahead and turn off the action mode and get back to 4K on the 14 Pro. All right, action mode is off on the 14 Pro, and it is in 4K 30p. If I were to start running, obviously, you're relying on the internal stability of the iPhone at this point. How does it compare to the 7 Pro? Pixel 7 Pro. Good Lord. Okay, if you haven't figured out which is which by now, you're probably never going to get it. Quick observation before I tell you, which you already probably know. Camera A has returned to the more saturated look with more contrast, while B, well, is still the same thing. Again, all preference. Yes, A is the Pixel 7 Pro and B is the iPhone 14 Pro. I mean, are you surprised at this point? Yeah. I have a slight confession to make. I always forget to turn off Apple's HDR.
You're saying it weird. Why are you putting so much emphasis on the H?
Because, I mean, let's be honest, it's in the settings, you gotta go look for it, and I just always forget to turn it off. The Pixel 7 Pro, I forgot to turn it on, and it's much easier to turn off and on, but I messed up. I don't know if it would be a little warmer on that. I think I need to go out and get a 14 Pro to see if it really makes a difference, because now it's gonna bother me. I've already shot all this. I wanted to double check. For you guys, I mean, it's gotta be right. Most people probably aren't even gonna turn on the HDR on the Pixel 7 Pro, so this is most likely what you're going to see. As far as the 14 Pro, well, they leave it on and you gotta go find a way to turn it off. So this is what you're gonna get out of theirs, and it's gonna be, I mean, seriously guys, this stuff, you gotta put it in the app, not on settings, Apple. So which do you prefer? Go ahead and leave a comment down below. As for me, you know what? I know this is a cop-out, but I would love to take some of 14 Pro and the Pixel 7 Pro, put them together and make one really good camera. Like, we haven't heard that before from people. Anyone think the term Pro is officially wrecked by now? If you want to see the comparisons between the 13 Pro and the 14 Pro, go ahead and check out this playlist right here. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications so you don't miss my next video. Real quick, some slow-mo action from the Pixel 7 Pro.